guess there goes the professor's phone goes off. Is that okay? You didn't send me an email back. I sent you an email yesterday. Or on Monday or on Tuesday. I sent an email using the Learning Suite to all the students. I didn't hear back from you. You should check the email that you have listed. We can verify that. That's why I asked to hear back, to make sure that it's getting out. I just copied you. I pasted you because you weren't in the class yet.
Yeah, but you replied back either way. So.
Yeah, you didn't, right?
Not yet. I can email that.
Okay, you did email.
I emailed you and then out of class. Was there anything I need to catch up on from the last meeting?
Not my response. I don't care. I'm being flippant. I apologize. This is Alex, right?
Yes.
I gave an overview of what we're going to do in the class, and so in the Learning Suite, I posted the syllabus and kind of a class outline. That was a big part of what we went over. And so you should be able to access that now. So in fact, I'm going to log into there real quick. Let's just make sure that you guys can see it. So, we've added Jeff is the TA over there. And let's see. So we go there. I go to bring me on. We go to Learning Suite. Go to home. Content. I go to Student View. Okay, these lectures. This is stuff we're going to use later. This is just an example of presentation. There's the schedule. So I'm in Student View, so hopefully you should be able to see this now. And then I uploaded some exercises.
I tried to get on it this morning and it didn't work, but then I tried it just now and it did.
Yeah, okay. So it caught up.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. If I want to email something, Hamid, you said you did not get an email.
Yeah. Probably I updated my email for Learning Suite.
You updated it just recently?
Yes.
Doesn't say what your email address is. So
Yeah. Can we log into these computers?
They're booted up as Linux right now.
Okay.
We can check after class if you want. We'll check over here. You can log into this thing. So I see Alex, I see Hamid, Raleigh, Dan, May, Alex, and Jeff is the TA. And Dr. McBride. So John, I don't know if I'm Dr.
Really pure and hungry.
He cured mine when we were graduates. Farm in.
That's like a baby.
Okay, so does that look right to you guys? That is the student view. That's my instructor view. I wonder if I can see your email here. No, it doesn't tell me. Sorry. Email for Hanif who says Hanif at BYU.net.
That's my alias. It is supposed to send to my real
Okay,
email.
so we'll retest it again, okay? That's what I'm going to use. If you've got a different one, I'll double check and I can always paste it in. Okay? So, that's where I'll be next week. And the syllabus should also be loaded up under syllabus, you guys. Okay? So, I did say in the email that there were some things called spatial exercises. Okay? And I'm going to take a few minutes to go over those before I turn it over to John. If I can find this here. Open. try this here. I think maybe that's the only thing that matters. Whether I think or not. Like, who's that? If I think I am, what's that old? I think, therefore I am. Descartes. Huh?
Descartes.
Descartes, yeah. So anyway, geology, engineering, most of the sciences require a good sense of spatial. What do I mean by spatial? What does spatial mean?
Objects in three-dimensional space.
Yeah, exactly. When I showed you this, I was trying to give you guys a three-dimensional sense of how structures were, how wells were. If you're a reservoir engineer, you're modeling the three-dimensional space of the container. If I'm going to, a friend of mine at the U, who's a big visualization guy, he built a three-dimensional model of how a container of gasoline, a barrel, blows up. He was trying to model where do all the particles go in that moment. That's spatial. There's a whole science out there called spatial intelligence. I mean, there are whole academic programs geared towards spatial intelligence. Now, all of you may have interacted with spatial intelligence at one level or another. Have you ever had to load the moving truck to move from one apartment to another? Have you ever found out you could not get a 2-bedroom apartment into a 3-bedroom truck? Did you ever have a problem getting it all in? Those are spatial skills. Can you walk through the house and see the bed, the couch, the table, the books, and go out to the truck and say, okay, I need to load it in this order. And I can maximize it, nothing moves, nothing breaks. When I get to the other end, it's all in perfect harmony. On the other hand, you ever unloaded someone's truck and it looked like it was just scattered? That's not great spatial. And so spatial intelligence is what gears us towards those seeing things where they are, or where they might be, or imagining, getting your imagination to focus. Mark Twain had a fairly famous quote about trying to focus the imagination to see things. Okay? And so I think it's a great skill, and it's good to have a sense of how strong your spatial skills are. I found out at an early age, not knowing what it was called, that mine were pretty good. I had no idea. I can't play the piano. I have no skills for music. I'm not very good at art. But I could tear a car engine apart, and then I could just throw all the parts in a box, and I could pull all the parts out and put it right back together without having a single diagram. I don't know why. You know, the good Lord, nature blessed me with that. I couldn't carry a tune. You know, I had friends that could do that. They had their own bands. Some guys could make a basket, you know, flawlessly. But spatial is really relevant in science and engineering. If you're going to design a building, you want to understand if you stress a beam, how is that going to look when it's stressed? In some way, you want to be able to see that in your own mind's eye, not just on a spreadsheet. It's what really, and for geoscience, man, it's what really allows you to go out and be a great field mapper. If you can see an outcrop of a certain rock formation, and in your mind's eye, you think, okay, this guy's dipping at 5 degrees, and it's going towards northwest. If I drive 20 miles over here, could I see it popping out? You see where I'm going? So there's a set of exercises that I pulled from the literature and some people that I know on different types of visualization. I want you to, this is not an exercise to be graded if you got it right or wrong. I just want you to do it. You'll get graded whether you did it or not. Okay? And so I've loaded 3 different ones, and I'm just going to go through them here, just to kind of get a sense of. So this is an object, and this is an imaginary 3-dimensional cube around that object. So if I had, try to make something simple. Let's just take myself, this eraser will work. Okay? So they're just going to take an object like this and say, okay, imagine you're looking at it from that point back there, okay? So I can look at it from that way. So even though I see it on paper like this, can my mind's eye imagine what it looks like from that viewpoint? Okay? So looking at it from that point, this is what it looks like. Can you envision in your mind's eye what this object looks like from there to point at it? So on this object, sitting here in space like this, they say look at it from back here. And this is what it would look like. So it's kind of, do you have that ability to rotate that object mentally in your brain to see where it's going to go? So on this one here, what they've done is they give you this and they give you that, and your challenge is to do what? Yeah, tell me where the viewpoint is. So where is this viewpoint? Which one of those? Come up here and show me where you think it is. Okay, you think it's from right here. So if you're doing this on paper, you would just draw a circle around that corner. Okay? Kind of get what we're doing? How many agree with that? Anybody disagree? I didn't see a hand go up. Who doesn't know? You see where I'm going? Okay. Because this is going to be useful as we start to think about reservoir logs. You think about a well log, it's holes drilled on the ground, and you measure rock property. Does that rock property extend ubiquitously in all directions? Maybe not. So we look at another well log, 100 meters away, and it looks slightly different. So now your mind's eye needs to kind of think, how does this vary between point A and point B, or well 1 and well 2? How's the porosity changing in that direction? How's the density? So this is kind of the exercise. Okay? How about that one? Where's our viewpoint? Somebody else. Hanif already bared his soul in front of the class. From where?
From this one.
From right there. So you're looking
Down towards the smoke.
Okay, so what we've done is okay, so let's think about that. So we basically taken this object and rotated it to there. Right? So,
Also can be-
yeah, it's probably over there, right? Okay.
Could there be two answers to that?
I don't think so. Let's take this like that. And we rotated it that way.
I can see it upside down.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, three-dimensional objects in 2D space are always a bit problematic. Okay. Okay, let's try another. Should we try another one? A completely different exercise. And there's so many different ones here. That one right there. Okay. This one kind of thinks of things as cross sections. So here's an apple. And a worm went through it. Okay. Came in one side, went out another, and created two holes in it. That's the cross section. If you take that little rectangle and slice it across there. Okay? So, we look at some things like this. You have objects that are multiple objects, nested objects, single objects. So, I'm going to jump right to that. Okay. So this is showing your viewpoint on these things, right? So if this is that's horizontal, here's a vertical, here's an oblique angle. So if I were to slice that sphere with that plane, it would look like that, right? Okay. Pretty simple. So if you had that and you had to pick an answer, you would pick. All right. Okay, we're good. Okay. And that one would look like, without showing you an answer, okay, which would be C. Okay. Now, Let's get votes. Anybody vote for A? B, C, D. Everybody, okay. Because we see this object is centered on there, so it can't be that one, right? And it's not tilted. Okay, here, get a little more complex now. I'm going to take this just a bit smaller. There we go. What do we, first of all, what do we think the cone is going to look like?
It's just a cone.
It should be a little oblong. I think this one's actually got an error because I would have expected that cone to be elongated. And I don't see an elongated one in here.
Can we just assume that we're looking at the base, the bottom half of it? After,
Well, I would assume we're looking from the top down.
so we remove everything above the cut plane.
Yeah, everything above and below the cut plane. We're just looking at the intersection of each object with the cut plane. Okay? So if we're looking down, we can see we're probably going to have something at a right angle, right? It's hard for me to tell for sure, but I guess they're assuming that it goes through part of that. I mean, I'm a little confused because I don't know how this cut plane is intersecting back here behind that triangle. It's probably not this one, though, right? Okay, we'll take that one out. It's probably one like this. Yeah. Okay, how about that one? Yeah, okay, here's a good one. Yeah, I'd go with B myself. Okay? You kind of get the idea? Okay. Am I cutting into your time yet, John?
No, no, no. I'll just run through it.
This one gets a little more complex. So this one basically takes geologic structures or some object that's got stuff folded into it. Think of it as a reservoir. Think of this as a reservoir layer, for example. So which one? We got Mesa and C. Yeah. And why do you pick C?
Why?
Yeah. Why not D?
Well, because the syncline is not bent that way, like this way.
Yeah, I'm not cutting across the bend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm going straight down and there's no flexure in any direction. Okay. I see. Okay. Here's another one. So I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a thin white, uniform, whatever these chevrons are, a thicker white, and then a relatively thin gray. So it's, yeah, I'm thinking A. Not these, because this is missing some of the elements. This has everything dipped in it. But we're perpendicular to the dip right here. Okay? So anyway, just kind of a fun exercise. When when you got a little free time, you want to play those brain puzzles, so to speak. I'd like you, those are all should be there. You should be able to download them. Do them. No hurry to get it back to me. Like I said, I'm gone for the next 2 weeks. You don't know this yet. But John McBride is going to be talking about borehole geophysics and well logs, that kind of stuff. And today he's talking about our project. So, getting in a couple of weeks will be fun. Okay? But don't leave it to the end. Because other things will start to pile up on you. So when you have an early moment, I don't think it'll take you forever. You might need to spend an hour or something on this. Depends how you are. But get them to Jeff, that'd be fine. You collect those from me, Jeff. Okay?
You want them to print them off, so we make copies and print them off for them.
She goes, yeah.
How many of these are there?
Well, some of them, there's quite a few pages. I mean, I don't care if they just pop them up on the screen and draw them and do a screen capture. And just send you the screen captures. If you don't want to, if they want to print them out, they can print them out. If they just want to pull them up on the screen and scroll through them, whatever tool that you like to use to mark them. So I've had some people just take a piece of paper and say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's fine. I'm going to leave that to you guys. Figure out what's best. On the one with the view angle, it's hard to write A, B, C, and D. So there's not a choice of A, B, C, or D. That one might be easier to print it, or on the computer screen, just capture and draw on it. Okay? My point is I want you to do it. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a sense of how you think your spatial skills are. Like I said, there's no right or wrong on my part. You know, you got 10 rights, so you're better than the next guy or whatever. Okay? I'm just trying to give you a sense of how those spatial skills are working for you. It gives me a sense as well as I work with you over the semester, areas that I think I might need to cover or not. Okay? So I'm going to turn it over to John, and he will be your host.
Should we turn out the front lights?
We can do that. You really want to put people to sleep.
Well, that's okay. Sort of nightclub.
Is this the one you want right here?
Yeah, that's it.
You want some mood music?
Maybe it's just hum loudly.
I used to have a little lamp. I could turn that on.
No, that was more like sort of casino setting.
That's a giant little.
Oh yeah, I need to have a flag.
Here's a pen, or you can do this. And if you want to like do something, you want to zoom up on something. And if you want to jump to a slide,
How do I make it normal size?
I'll go back to that. I was saying you can go back to this and you can jump to a slide. Go back.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, you had animations. So you can do that, or you can use this guy. Okay?
Right, thanks
It's
for
all
the
yours,
fitting.
buddy.
I'm used to old-fashioned setting. So, my name is John McBride. You can just call me John. That actually is my real name. It's meant to be a fairly informal class, as you can probably tell. So, what we're going to be working on is one or more data sets. Real data sets. When I say data sets, I mean a collection of subsurface data from a real exploration setting. The one that I'm actually going to be talking about, the first one we'll be looking at that I'll talk about today, is actually from a CCS site. Those who don't know what that means, carbon capture and storage. So a big deal with the U.S. Department of Energy, past 10, 15 years, has been to establish test sites in the United States where different technologies are applied to assessing the viability of injecting CO2 gas from, say, a power plant, like generating power plant, that's generating CO2 into the subsurface and hopefully leaving it there so it doesn't contribute to the greenhouse gas effect. So that's been a big program, U.S. Department of Energy. One of the premier sites to do this is something that Bill and I have been working on for some time, is at the Decatur, Illinois site, ADM Arthur Daniel Mitchell company there. Decatur is kind of a company town. They have a big power plant there, and so it's an ideal place to actually put together a suite of subsurface data, by which I mean 3D and 2D seismic reflection data, all different types of well data, also data that establishes what the seismic velocity structure is of the site, so we can convert travel times to depth. So it's probably the premier site in the United States for this type of study in terms of assembly of data. This is in the Illinois Basin, if you're not familiar where Decatur is, kind of the north central part of the state. One just sort of a house cleaning comment here, that all data that's used in this class are proprietary. So that means that you're not supposed to copy any of it. So we have kind of permission, soft permission to use these data sets, but it's not like it's a problem. But just so you know that the data are not meant to be copied. Okay. Some of the sponsors of this project, first the big one is U.S. Department of Energy. It's probably put sort of around $1 million just for BYU into this project. We are associated with the University of Illinois and also Illinois State Geological Survey in Urbana-Champaign, where I actually used to work, so I kind of brought this project with me. And then Halliburton has provided much of the software that we use. Schlumberger, smaller just for Bill used to work for Halliburton, has also provided some software support as well. Okay. So where we're going with this little introduction today, this is just a map of the state of Illinois. Oil fields are shown here in green. Here's Decatur. Chicago is up here. So what I'd like to do today is just give you a little bit of familiarity with the study site in Decatur and about the data that you're going to be looking at, provide kind of a regional background on the geology and the geophysics. What's a little bit unique about this particular project is even though the injection zone for CO2 gas is in a particular interval, the Cambrian Mount Simon Sandstone, as it's called, nevertheless, we're taking a more of a holistic approach, looking at the deep geology as well. So both geology and geophysics, looking in the lower Paleozoic section. By the way, if I use words and some of you don't know what they mean, just ask me, and somebody will answer. They not necessarily me. But also looking at in the Precambrian, so the very old rocks below, well below the injection interval, because we have this suspicion that there's something perhaps in the deep basement rocks that's having an effect on the behavior of the injection within the injection level. So we'll be taking a holistic approach. And then what are some of the geological problems we're trying to solve? This is an active research project, but we don't have all the answers. We have most of the questions and some of the answers. So Illinois Basin is shown here in the pink. Here's our study site here. Chicago is here. I used to live right there, Champaign, Urbana. The Illinois Basin is it has been called a sag basin, meaning that it's thought to be kind of structurally very simple. That's actually not correct. If you look at it in detail with more data, it's actually quite complex. The complexity increases as you go from north to south into areas that if you're geologists, you'd recognize this areas, the Mississippi Embayment, Rough Creek, Robin, Reelfoot Rift, the New Madrid seismic zone, probably the premier seismic zone within the central part of North America is right through here. So a lot of interesting regional geology associated with the general location of the site. So first of all, the Precambrian geology. Let's start from the bottom and work our way up. So by Precambrian, what do I mean? Well, rocks that are older than about 550 million years before present. Okay. In this case, the rocks in this area are about 1.45 billion year old rocks. This is kind of a reconstruction of what the rocks look like. Very simple. Here's our study site here. So Illinois Basin within that green box. Michigan, Lake Michigan is right there. The white thing, you can be careful about the fish stream or something happens. So one of our goals is to understand more about the Precambrian geology beneath the injection site. And you see these bands that cross through North America. These are various Precambrian provinces designated by age. So the age of these rocks locally, again, about 1.45 billion years old. So the unconformity between what's just beneath our injection zone and the basement is about 1 billion years missing. So I have 1 billion years of erosion that's actually missing. Some of the possible origins for this Precambrian province beneath our site, which is a granite rhyolite province, is that maybe it's related to rifting, in other words, continents splitting apart, or on the other end of the spectrum, maybe it's related to continents crashing together or subduction, kind of two end members. So pretty much all the possibilities. So very, very mysterious what actually causes granitic terrain. What's nice about it from an academic point of view is that this is probably the best studied area in terms of geophysical and geological subsurface data anywhere in North America. As far as actually remote sensing data is our study site here. That's one claim to fame. Here's a blow-up map of the Illinois Basin, state of Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri over here, Arkansas somewhere down there. We have a lot of regional data for the basin. This is a structural map, meaning that the contours are showing the depth below datum for a particular horizon. In this case, the New Albany, the Upper Devonian New Albany Shale, which is actually considered a source rock and perhaps a seal within the Paleozoic section, just as a marker. So we have a number of regional lines. I'm going to show you this line called S1 right through here. It's one of the best seismic profiles in the Midwest in terms of what it can show. So that's a picture of the line here, the seismic reflection profile. So a little bit about scale. So 25 kilometers here. Travel time 10 seconds, two-way travel time. So that kind of correlates to about 30 kilometers depth. So quite a deep section and a very long section, giving kind of regional view. So north going to the right, the Paleozoic section is right here within the blue arrows. Our injection zone is right here above the green line, just to give you context. This is not right along the injection zone, but the equivalent of what we'll be looking at when we get up to Decatur. And then what you see beneath that is the basement, so-called Precambrian basement. If you look in textbooks showing the geology of North America, it'll often show the Precambrian basement as red granite. In other words, it's supposed to be homogeneous, nothing interesting about it, no boundaries. But in fact, it's actually highly structured. It has a great deal of heterogeneity to it. Individual sub-basins, as you can see here and here, these reflectors marking different seismic sequences. We'll be looking at these in detail with the project, so I don't want to say too much about it, so I don't do too much of a spoiler. But this is our setting for Precambrian. The Precambrian geology, from a geophysical point of view, is probably more interesting here than anywhere in the United States. I think that's all I have for that one. This, if we take this horizon here that I'm putting my finger on, and we map that out based on our regional profiles, this is what it looks like as a contour map in depth. It's actually pseudo depth. It's travel time, but we can think of 5.5 seconds, which is right about here, is roughly equivalent to 17 kilometers below datum. So about 17 kilometers below the surface of the Earth. Decatur is here. This is our study site. We have a little bit of data up here that allows us to extend this Precambrian section further to the north. So what the contours are showing are a big bowl-shaped sequence that's floored by a Precambrian reflector. Again, it's deep below the injection interval that might have a clue to what is controlling the pressures within the injection interval, and I'll talk about what that means in a little bit. And that big bowl shape extends to the north. We have edges, edge here on the west and an edge to it on the south. What happens in Indiana we don't know, and what we know it extends to the north, but we're not sure what it does. So the shape that you should be seeing in your mind is kind of a bowl, a deformed bowl that's getting deeper as we go to the north. So that's our setting for Precambrian geology for our sequestration sites. What about the Paleozoic geology, where we're actually injected? So this is from the Illinois State Geological Survey. It's highly vertical exaggerated. One of the things you're going to be doing with the data is that always looking at some vertical exaggeration, so you'll be able to see subtle structural details. Because a lot of the geology is pretty flat. If you've been to Illinois, Indiana area, drive across, it's pretty flat. Well, the geology is flat too. So you often have to exaggerate it in order to actually see structural details. So this is a highly exaggerated section going from, here's our base map, going from the Wisconsin-Illinois border all the way down to southern Kentucky. So right up here, Wisconsin, all the way down into almost Tennessee here along this line of section. This is 50 kilometers, just to give you an idea of scale. So again, highly exaggerated. Now, I'm not expecting you to grasp all the details of the section. Just point out a couple things. Our injection level is right here, the Mount Simon sandstone. Or if you're into this type, from an engineering point of view, if you're into this type of thing, it would be called a sink. So this is our sink for CO2 capture and storage. This big yellow zone here, with Decatur being right about in here somewhere. And then our seal would be the base of the Knox, which is a carbonate a calcium magnesium carbonate rock that's very extensive across the Midwest, shown here in purple. So every carbon capture project storage has to have a sink and a seal. So here's our seal, and our sink is a Mount Simon. Okay, just to give you some context. What you're going to be doing is using well log data that's through these horizons, and then tying the well log data to the actual seismic reflection data. Because the seismic reflection data recorded in time, the well log data are in depth. We know where the geology in terms of stratigraphy exists within the well logs, so we can tie the geology to the geophysics using the well logs if we know the seismic velocity. So that's what some of the steps we'll be going through, which will mimic a real environment if you're doing this professionally. If we focus on this Mount Simon sandstone, this is our injection level. This is a thickness map, or an isopack map, or perhaps better, an isocore map of the Mount Simon sandstone. So you can see the thickest part is right here, in the north central part of the state. Here's Chicago, just for reference, is right here. And the thickest part of the Mount Simon is here. Here's Decatur, Illinois, our site. This is the area where we have a concentration of fairly new subsurface data, especially seismic reflection data, in this green rectangle. So we focus a lot on that area. You'll notice that you have kind of a bullseye here. The thickest part of the Mount Simon sandstone, the sink, is right here close to Decatur. So it's a good place to actually do this type of study. From a geologic point of view, why would you have a thick zone of Mount Simon sandstone? What might that mean? Geologically, what is that? What's the significance of that? What are possibilities? So this is something that's Cambrian. It's about 500 million years old. So maybe that's what type of geologic structural setting? Where do you get a big, thick volume of sediments, plastic sediments? Maybe it's some type of rift basin. So one of the explanations for this geologically is you're looking at something that was originally a rift or part of a rift. In other words, the Earth splitting apart, there's faults that bound the zone of accumulation. We have a lot of that here in this part of the world, right? So the Basin Range, for example, or Death Valley, could be something that's similar to what we're looking at here. But this is all buried beneath about 7,000 feet of sediments, so we can't actually look at it except remotely with geophysical data. So perhaps evidence of rifting for our injection level. This is a blow-up of that area, just shown here. So we have a number of regional seismic reflection lines, one to L101, 601, 501, and then this is our 3D coverage area. So if you're not sure what 3D seismic data mean at this point, we'll take care of that shortly. Bill, as you probably guess, is an expert in that. So Decatur, Illinois is right in that area within the purple square. So if we blow that up, this is just a representation of the 3D seismic volume that we have. So here's Decatur. Our volume is right here in the north part of Decatur, highly industrialized. So we put the volume, the actual collection of data, very close to where we capture the CO2. Otherwise, we have to truck it in, and that kind of destroys the whole point of the project. So we had to locate the seismic experiment, all the data in the wells, basically right within the power plant, which was very challenging to do. Both Bill and I have been to the site. It's the worst kind of place to try to do this type of work because it's cumbersome, but we're able to be successful at it. And then we have a number of wells that Bill's referred to. CCS means carbon capture and storage. Then VW is verification well, and we also have monitoring wells. But we have the LAS files, in other words, the digital files for all of these well logs. I forget how many there are, but there are 100 different types of logs for each well. So they spare no expense in actually doing this work and collecting the data. So just to look at some of these, let's look at this green portion of this green profile here, just northwest of Decatur. So it's going to be where the seismic volume and the 2D line almost intersect just to the north of Decatur. So this is a representation of part of the two-dimensional seismic profile, again for scale, 10 kilometers here. This level here is about 2,200 meters, or around 7,200 feet, something like that. PC stands for top of Precambrian. That's the base, close to the base of our injection level. The KX stands for base of the NOx, which is camera ordovician in the age, and it represents our seal. So our sink is right in this area, right here. And then we also have something interesting. We have this reflectivity within the so-called Precambrian rocks. These rocks here are, again, about 1.45 billion years old, about a billion years older than the rocks within the sequestration interval. And we have this suspicion that the configuration of this Precambrian interval may have something to do with the behavior of the injection within the sink itself. That's a research area that we'll kind of stop on, right? The volume is actually between these blue lines, the actually 3D volume. So again, this is probably one of the best concentrations of data, subsurface data, looking at the Precambrian or lower Paleozoic anywhere in the Midwest, and perhaps anywhere in the United States. We also have this is an east-west profile shown here. We also have a north-south profile, but let's just blow this up first. So again, this is our sequestration interval right here, and our 3D volume projects and gives us very detailed information about the injection interval. This is that north-south section. It shows this Precambrian reflection now in a dip sense, so it's opening up to the north, so part of that overall bowl-shaped sequence that I showed you in a previous slide. Okay, so again, this is our injection zone right through here, the Mount Simon sandstone. So what's been done so far, we're kind of in the middle of the project, but the horizon that marks the base of our injection level has been mapped in contours and using gridded databases. And this is showing one of these efforts. These are numbers that are in feet below sea level, or below datum, I should say. We have wells, well here, 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 and here. And you see kind of a high. So this is a positive feature. Now, of course, if you're petroleum explorationists, positive features are interest because they form traps, right? You pinch out against a dome or something like that. They'll just show you an example of that. It can be of interest for exploration. In this particular case, you have 240 feet of topography on the structure. So that's 240 feet of elevation difference beyond the surrounding layers. If we take just one seismic section through that dome, just looking right through this dome here, and this is what we see. This is the top of the dome here, and we think we have erosional remnants around it that may be eroding into the Precambrian. And these are some of the wells that are actually tied, that you'll be doing this, that are actually tied to the reflectors. The whole point of the well logs are to be able to interpret what just look like meaningless squiggles otherwise. Okay? So this is an excerpt that Bill produced from the 3D volume. Our injection level is up here, and this is just a blow-up showing what this deep Precambrian reflector would look like, which is also going to be part of the study. So CCS, carbon capture and storage, what is that all about? Some of you may be familiar with this, having read about it in the news or whatever, but the whole point is to reduce greenhouse emissions. And whether or not that's going to be effective eventually, well, maybe that's more of a question for the politicians, but right now we are just part of this big project to assess the framework, geology, and we add the geometry to actually do this, and once the injection happens, will it stay there, okay? So give you a little bit of background. These are different gas storage areas. The whole concept got started with the idea of storing gas in the ground, methane gas, and then pumping it out when the price goes up. And of course, one of the best places to do that is in Illinois, because you have big population centers here. So the idea is to store gas when it's cheap and then pump it out when it's cold in Chicago and the price goes up. Well, the same type of approach could be taken for CO2, except that you just want to pump it into the ground and then leave it there. So Northern Illinois was one of the best places to actually pursue this type of work. So the big picture is that, well, you have a CO2 source, which is kind of a good thing for experimental purposes, but a bad thing because it's greenhouse gases. So to do that, you have to have a power plant, lots of coal-fired power plants in Illinois. You have to have a way to separate and capture the CO2 gas rather than just spilling it into the atmosphere. You have some way to compress it and then transport it, and then eventually inject it. The place we can find to do this is in Decatur, Illinois, where we have a power plant, the ability to compress it. Transportation is not a big deal because it's right next to our site, and then inject it. So our sequestration interval again would be that Mount Simon Cambrian sandstone. Okay, but the problem is, will it actually work? Because this is not something that's been around for a long time. Do you have the appropriate capacity? Is there enough volume there? Can you actually inject? Do you have enough permeability and porosity? Thus, you need to look at logs in order to determine that. And of course, containment. Is it going to stay there? Sometimes it comes back up to the surface. Thus, one of the big things that we're studying is, are there subtle faults or breaks or fractures within or affecting the sequestration unit that could actually allow it to come back to the surface, which is a bad thing. Okay. So it's obviously not Illinois, but this part sort of looks like it. But some of the components of this sort of operation, design, construction, try to understand the use and value of old wells, and then verification. Our part of the whole of this is basically within characterization. I mean, we're not engineers in this class. Well, some of you are, but
speak for yourself, John. We got a couple right here.
yeah, you let me finish, right?
I'm sorry,
I
John.
can construct a sentence in a different sort of way, backwards perhaps. But those of you that are engineers would be maybe involved more in construction and operations, injection and verification, whereas the geologist more of a characterization study. This is a big project, probably involving, let's see, about 30 subcontractors. It's operated out of the Illinois State Geological Survey, where I used to work. About 200 people there, lots of engineers, geochemists, people that are experts in construction. We all get together to manage this project. But our part of it here has been characterizations. That's what we'll be talking about in this class. So the very first step is risk assessment. That's been a big part of what we're doing. Lots of different types of risk. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but from a geologist's point of view, your big risk is faulting. You have faults that cut and break the seal, so it's really not a very good seal. That's your big question.
So my question is, are those trapped old petroleum reservoir?
So that's a good question. So is our injection level an old petroleum reservoir? In some cases it could be, in this case it's not. It's actually a saline aquifer, which is a bit of a misnomer. So it's just salt water. It's never produced. Okay. So we needed to choose a saline aquifer that was deep because from a regulation point of view, we wouldn't be allowed to contaminate an aquifer, a freshwater aquifer. So that's why it has to be deep, around 7,000 feet. So on this diagram here, it'd be the equivalent of something about this level here, on this part here.
So are you going to take out those salty water first and inject the...
You inject the CO2 gas within the salt water reservoir.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be displacing the salt water, yes. So, but our big hazard concern is faulting. So one of the things we've been looking at a lot is ways to detect subtle faults on our subsurface data. So once we decided that that's okay, then we start drilling, and your wells are kind of divided up into actual injection wells, primary injection wells, also monitoring wells, and then verification wells. We have well logs from all those different types of wells, and we'll be looking at those and tying those to our subsurface data. As far as, as far as what our stratigraphic column looks like in the study area, so we've already said this, but just to be a bit more clear about it, our injection interval is the Cambrian. Geologists are used to seeing these types of diagrams, but if you're not familiar with it, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. This is going from shallow to deep. Cambrian represents our injection zone. So if this were a petroleum exploration study, this would be our reservoir for extracting. In this case, it's our reservoir for injecting. But many of the techniques are the same. We just use them a little bit differently. Then the Eau Claire, locally, it's locally called the Eau Claire Formation, the base of the Knox. Regionally, that's our seal. And then beneath it is the Precambrian, which is probably the most complicated part of the whole section itself from a geophysical point of view. So just a blow-up of the site. You can see lots of infrastructure here. This is the location of our wells. And then these represent one, two, three wells, well logs through the site. I'm not going to talk about these in detail, because that's what we'll be doing starting next week. But this is our zone of injection right through here on these wells. The red represents our porosity logs. You see you're getting high porosities to the left on these logs. This is our zone of injection. This represents a gamma ray log that shows how pure the actual formations are. So this is our prime injection interval right through here. Just to give you an idea of scale, this will help. This is used to be called the Sears Tower. I used to go to school right there a long time ago in Chicago. The thickness of the Mount Simon Formation locally here is about 1,600 feet, which is close to a maximum. Within that 1,600 feet, we have a broad range of porosity permeability relationships. The best part of that zone formation was a zone that's about 600 feet thick, which is represented right here. And this is just the Sears Tower, which is 1,700 feet high, just to give you an idea of scale. Okay, so this is pretty thick zone for injection. So that's what we're going to be focusing a lot in this study. This is just a blow up of the zone. Again, our injection level right through here. The red represents porosities, high porosities to the left. We also have, I should say, this is just a reminder to say that we have core. Now, it's very expensive to acquire a core. So you know what a core is, where you actually drill through the rock and you don't just grind it up in powder or cuttings, but you actually extract a solid piece of the rock and bring it back to the surface. A very expensive thing to do, but we've been able to do that because this project cost, I don't know, at least $100 million. And it's probably just over 5 years. So it's lots of money to put on this project. And one of the things we've acquired is core, and this allows us to reconstruct the sedimentary environment of our injection interval, this core coming from right here on the well log, and that helps us to interpret how effective is this whole injection going to be. Because one of the things you're worried about, say as an engineer or petroleum engineer, is that, well, maybe you've identified one place where the porosity and permeability is good. Well, how complicated is your 3D picture? You get good numbers from one particular location. It may be literally that big. Hey, how does that apply to a volume that's the size of a county? What is the complexity of flow units versus seals versus container units? Okay, so this will help us understand how to do that, because if you can reconstruct the sedimentary environment, then you get some idea about what sort of complexity you might expect. Just another picture of some of the cores. From a geological point of view, some of the environments that have been interpreted, and other people have done this, not me, but a braided river, fluvial braided river environment, playa environments, and as far as what type of sedimentary structures, you get cross bedding like you might find in sand dunes. What's nice about this, from our point of view, where we're located, is we can actually go out and look at analogs, not too far from Provo, of some of these environments. So, for example, playas, or fluvial eole, just a fancy word for sand dunes, or braided rivers. Where might we do this? Well, lots of places. Death Valley is a very good one. We're on the very margin of the basement range. Death Valley is probably one of the most dramatic places we could go to actually reconstruct or visualize those environments that are in Illinois and buried about 7,000 feet. So these hills might represent that dome that I showed you on a few slides ago, around which we drilled. Maybe that dome represents buried topography. If you took something like this, it's actually an active rift basin, and then buried it with 7,000 feet of sediment, maybe it would look like something we see in Illinois today. Some of the other types of environments that we see in the core from the AEM site are alluvial fan environments, which look something like this, also from Death Valley. And then what would you call this type of feature? Those of you that are geologists. This would be a playa. What's a playa? It's Spanish for beach. Beach, right? Okay, well, there's no beach here, but there is sort of, because you're on the margin of a ephemeral lakes. Okay, so ephemeral lake in a negative topographic setting, cut off and isolated, is what you're seeing here. Those of you who've been to Pilot Valley, west of here, that's also a playa system north of Wendover, just north of I-80 by the Bonneville Salt Flats. A similar type of environment. This is obviously more dramatic, but this may be the type of environment we see within the study site at 8 Now, why would we care about that? Just like it's a fun thing to know and tell. Well, it gives us an idea about compartmentalization. If you're injecting within an environment that geologically looks like this, then what kind of expectation might you have about how far the gas is going to flow, or how predictable is it? Geology is not just like a sponge that's very simple and similar and goes on forever. It's a bit more complicated, and this helps us understand that complexity. Great. And that's almost all, but also as a reminder, what we see in the core is a combination of marine rocks and terrestrial. Marine meaning that in the ocean, so for example, deep water shales, as well as sandstones that would be deposited in something like this. This is not from Death Valley, but something that could be represented by Death Valley. And then the very last thing that's, we didn't really expect this, but you've all heard about the earthquakes in Oklahoma due to injection. I mean, this, everybody knows about this, right? You even have articles in the New York Times, okay, which doesn't seem to get anything right lately. That's another story. But you also have earthquakes in this site here that have been associated with the injection, except that these earthquakes are very small, magnitudes -1, -2, probably a maximum of 1 or 1.5. So really not detectable except by instruments. But we've instrumented this area with lots of seismometers, and we have been able to represent, to record microseismicity in a way that's never been done before. So one of the questions we want to ask about the microseismicity, is it somehow related to those deep Precambrian patterns that I started off talking about? It's very deep beneath the injection level. And just to show you one sort of teaser, this is a structural contour map of a Precambrian reflector. Bill and I worked on this, so it's opening up. It's a bowl shape to the north. This represents epicenters within the injection interval or just below the injection interval, superimposed on that map. Okay? Now that's a little bit nebulous because this dipping horizon that's represented in the colors is quite a lot deeper than the earthquakes themselves. But make sure I'm not going over.
That is about 220.
I assume everybody would leave as soon as that time's up, so no danger.
If not sooner, right?
If not sooner, right, yes. So this represents the actual seismicity pattern. These are like little earthquakes. Now, nobody feels them, but they're not just random. They have a very coherent pattern. So what we've been doing is mapping discontinuities, and Bill has been working on this very diligently with me, mapping discontinuities within the Precambrian to see if there's some relationship. And these are some of the discontinuities we've mapped, and maybe it's mere coincidence. We're trying not to get too excited about this, but we have a high level of structuralization right here, just below the earthquake pattern. So the question that we're actively trying to understand, thus the question marks here, is that is the seismicity pattern, which we have as a part of our data sets. You'll have that, and you're able to integrate that with your subsurface data. Is the microseismicity related somehow in a way that we don't understand yet to this deep structure? So that's one of the things you might be able to help us out with. And I think that's probably it. Okay. So you can either end or you have questions for Bill or I. This is our first data set. We may use some other data sets as well. The reason we use this one is that it's just so rich. It's very rich. It's an active research project. And believe me, a lot of people are very interested in some of these questions. We had the U.S. Geological Survey sort of looking over our shoulder at everything that we're doing and wanting to get a hold of the data. And so we have a lot of profile going on with this study. Very high profile. Okay, that's all I have.
What do you have?